to all of you. This is Dr. Ruchi Shirutkar. I am a founder and director of an organization called as Paediatreat. I am here to welcome our guest speaker today, Dr. Nitin Saraswat. I really welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Richi.
It's an honor to have you on our chat YouTube live. And let me introduce you, Dr. Nitin Saraswat. We've been working together since years. He's an official counselor to Paediatreat, and it's been always very helpful. It's just any patient that you refer it to him, and it's done. That patient will definitely feel better. And I have also personally consulted him at so many instances, and he's been really very good with all this. So it was my dream to call him on this forum. And let me introduce Dr. Nitin Saraswat to you all. He's an international life coach and a parenting expert who has been working with more than 20 academic institutions and delivered more than 500 parenting workshops. His sessions has benefited more than 500,000 people in 5 continents. That's great, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
So we'll be having a little question answer session today and then some important tips from you to how to handle these teenagers, right? So are we ready?
Absolutely. Looking forward
So
to.
I'll be asking questions. We have a live chat also, and then we can take the questions from the other people also, right? So my first question to you is how to handle these teenager kids. I don't know whether to call them kids or an adult. At times they behave like, oh, you cannot tell me this. I am 16 now. And they are at times behave like basic things they are just not ready to listen. So how to develop an effective communications with these teenagers?
The first word is that we have to remove the word kid, and we have to start understanding that we are working with young adults. So in
Mhm.
psychology, at the age 8, we understand that self-concept of a person has completely developed. And when a person has a self-concept developed, they have a thought process developed too. And we need to understand that no two thought processes can ever be same. So we
Okay.
are actually handling with an adult with a very, very different thought process. So the first thing to correct is never ever to deal with a child or a kid, always to deal with an adult with an absolute thought process which is different from yours.
Mhm. Okay. So treat them as young adults.
Absolutely. Treat them as young adults and treat them as individuals who will always have a different thought process than their parents. And this is very funny. This is how nature has ensured that the parents and the children, they will not have same thought process, otherwise they will not evolve. Parents will always want their children to have the same set of values, the same set of thought process as they have. And nature has been so kind to us, otherwise we would have stopped evolution of the mankind. So for the humankind to evolve, the hormones make them rebel against their parents. Hormones make them not to listen to their parents. So being an elder, the parents will have to take the responsibility to come down to the level of the young adult and re-establish that chain of communication, because the problem is the communication becomes absolutely faulty, and the moment the communication goes for a toss, everything else also goes for a toss.
Okay. Okay, so we should treat them as young adults. But the next question is some things are very basic, there has to be some ground rules in the house, I feel, like keeping your plate or sitting on a dining table and eating, or, basic hygiene. I have so many patients who keep complaining, his room is a mess. He will not even put his dirty clothes in the bin or a washing machine. So very, very basic things. I will talk about the major conflicts later, but the basic things which every parent expect a child to at least listen. It is not about, some I've listened to even my daughter telling me, and you cannot treat me like a robot, or you cannot tell me what to do. Absolute defiance about the basic things. We are not talking about the bigger battles. So how to that basic need of a parent, how to, tell the children, or how we should make them understand, or let them, the room be dirty and not brush their teeth or eat all the junk. How can we do that?
So it is not something that can be reset or reestablished at the age of 16. It is something
Mhm.
that you need to establish at the age of 5. Parenting has different, you have to evolve like a as a parent. The first stage of parenting is 0 to 3. The second stage of parenting is 3 to 8, and the third stage of parenting is 8 onwards. Now, whatever you have done till 8, it is going to come back to reward you or bite you, because that is the age where everything else almost gets settled and goes into the autopilot mode. So the word here is that we have to differentiate between two words. One is discipline, and second is parental way of living. So
Okay.
point is, my parents used to keep the house very clean. But now cleanliness is a word different people define in very different ways. So now,
Agreed.
why am I thinking that my way of looking at cleanliness will match with my child's way of looking at the cleanliness? Even a husband and a wife's way of looking at the cleanliness never matches. Like it's the Mars and the Venus problem. So it's the way you look at your house clean and your husband looks at his house clean might differ a lot. Why don't we allow that kind of freedom to our children also? That's the first thing. But yes, if you talk about discipline, they must be disciplined. But the discipline cannot be an imposed thing. A discipline has to be a consultation, an agreement, and then an understanding. These are the three words that the parents usually miss. They don't consult to reach a consensus, that is agreement, and then it is about, okay, a reward and a consequence mechanism has to be put in place. How do you ask your child to put a plate in the sink, or how do you child keep ask your child to keep the house clean? How you are asking is more important than how many times you are asking. Most of the times, parents are grudging or scolding. That is how the communication breaks. Yes, a child may take its own time, their own time to put the plate in the sink. Why it has to be done now, right now? No, ask your child, okay, do you want to keep it later, but are you fine with keeping it yourself? Do you understand? That's why we always tell in parenting workshop, have these words, home rules. These are home rules. Okay, we have these rules, everybody follows it, and then lead by example. You lead by example, to you create consensus, and then remind it, don't bang it. Your tone should not be authoritarian. It should not be like a grudge. Open the communication channel and give your child time, because when you handling your young adults, we need to understand a particular thing. A young adult has their mind racing. There are so many things that are going on in their mind. That's why their mind is a lot of time monkey mind. You will say, keep this plate in the sink, and the child will forget it immediately, because the child's mind has not registered it as something which is very, very important. For the child's mind, it's not an important thing, it will forget. And then you will get angry. How many times? The statement, how many times I need to remind you? It has to be eradicated. It has to be understood by the adult that the young adult will take time to fall in line. No matter how many times you have to remind your child, you must remind your child with a smile and a hug, and then ask, then can we please start doing it? Can we create a mechanism where I don't need to remind you? Or sometimes you can do a role reversal. Okay, today you will be the mom, you will be the dad, and it is your house. Make it a fun thing. Don't make it a taxing thing. Problem with the parenting is parents make everything so serious. And when you make things very serious, for a young adult, it is impossible to learn it. They can only learn things fun way. Even the punishment has to be fun way.
So, for simple things like putting the bag on place or plate in the sink, you said that we should consult them, like we should ask them, do you want to put the plate in the sink? And suppose they say, no, I don't want to put.
Explain
Okay, the importance of putting the.
exactly. Show them, okay, I will show you two houses. Make it a game. And this
Okay.
can be done at 5 to 8. It cannot be done at 12.
So
5 to
once
8.
we have a 16 or a 15-year-old daughter or a son, it's no way coming back, or
There
there are
is,
ways.
there is. Then we have to talk to an adult like a conversation I'm having with you. The onus of making the person understand falls with the person who is making you understand, not on the person who is trying to understand. Unfortunately, parents think it is their right to get angry. No, it's not their right to get angry. They are not doing the difficult part. The children is doing the difficult part.
So I'll be the parent here, because what happens is parents are working, they have other things on their plate, and when they come home and they see everything is in a mess, though they have cleaned it while they are going to the office, it becomes very frustrating for the parents to, just keep on going with the same thing, like basic. I'm not talking about the standards of cleanliness. I'm not talking about the house being spick and span, but basic things, So, are you eating on bed? And as far as examples are concerned, I know a lot of parents or who are not eating on a sofa, or but still, or not eating junk. Let me come to the next important part. Like junk eating has become, and with these new platforms like Zomato and Swiggy, you can easily order. I remember my childhood, we used to not eat that much of junk food, but now they can order Blinkit, and the amount of junk they are eating is too much. And the moment you try them, try to explain them that it's not good for your body, it's not that much. We make a day, Sunday, but there's an absolute refusal. Everybody eats it. What's the harm? You know, I like pizza. I will not eat this food. So there is an absolute defiance that I see in such kids.
The moment we say defiance, that explains the problem actually. So as a parent, we think it is our right, and they are the aggressors which are taking away our right. We do not understand these are two individuals coexisting in a place. So a child is not a child, it's a human mind. First of all, half of the things parents say do not make sense to a young adult. For example, if you're saying do not eat sitting in the bed, a child will find it very funny. Why shouldn't I eat in the bed? Half of the rules that parents are trying to implement, most of the children find them funny and just mom's ego or dad's ego kind of thing. We have to tell a child why a child should not eat sitting in the bed. We have to explain why a child should not keep the plate in a particular manner. Is it just about optics? And for that to happen, I think first the parents need to ask a question to themselves why they are asking to do things the way they are asking to do things. Sometimes it is just a cultural thing. Your parents may have been telling you not to sit in the bed because in older generation it was considered that Ma Lakshmi will become angry if you are sitting in the bed and eating in the bed. Half of the things parents need to realize that these things have become obsolete, but you're still asking your children to follow because you have been following it in your childhood. Now we need to understand that parents need to evolve with the generation next too. And if you have a logical reasoning behind whatever you want, then ask yourself, like, whenever you're scolding your child, ask yourself a very simple question. Is the scolding working? Because
No,
believe me, I have never seen scolding working. The
it
more
never
you
works.
scold the child, and If you are an intelligent person, you will never continue with something that is not working. Why will you continue with something that is not working? So you have to tell yourself, A, beating, scolding, if it is giving you very good results, I will say very good, please carry on. If it is making your child, but results in what form? It should make your child's confidence stronger, make your child and your bond stronger, and make your child a better human being. Then I don't have a problem with beating, scolding, crush their confidence if that can make them you. That's the kind of a child you want to bring up. Otherwise, ask yourself only a very simple question. Yes, you have a lot of work to do, but what you are trying as a technique of parenting, is it increasing your workload or is it decreasing your workload? That's a question we need to ask. And then we have to have a logical platform to communicate, because A, have we developed a logical communication system with our child? Because I have seen most of the parents not having a logical system of discussion. And B, can we sit across and talk to each other? That these are some questions that we need to ask before understanding how a child understands what you say.
Okay. I sometimes feels, it is easier said than done sometimes because like I talked about junk eating, let me take that example. So if you tried an effective communication key, this is not healthy, at least basic meals should be, right. It can be, I have a friend who's a very good dietitian. I was talking to her also. And there are parents who have not introduced a lot of junk to their kids. I know some people who have a basic rule that this is the food. If you want to eat it, good. If you don't want to eat it, this is the only food you will get, right? But there are parents who are struggling with it, that okay, they can be hungry, not eating food, demanding pizza, burgers. Okay, you like in my house, I have a rule that once a week is fine. So once a week, it's your call. Whatever you want to order, you can order. But I've seen parents struggling, and then a lot of health issues comes into place, childhood obesity, PCOD, and it's a difficult thing to treat later. So, yeah, what
My
is your
point,
take?
my point is, I have never seen parents who do not encourage. Like I'll give you another example. I think this will make the understanding easier. A mother came to me and said, "My child watches TV a lot." And I asked her a very simple question: "How often you watch TV?" And she said, "TV तो घर में on ही रहता है." So it's like we have what we are doing when we saw a child, we set a precedent that it's an amazing thing to go to a restaurant. We are showing that kind of eagerness of for the outside food, and we expect the children not to follow it. That's the first thing. Second, are we taking in the consideration the environment that the children are being brought up in? I'll give you an example because I know, Dr. Richi, you come from Agra. So you have a community called satsangis. Do you ever have a friend? Have you had a friend who was a satsangi? Okay, if
Not
you go to the
really.
Satsangi community, you will be shocked. Their children don't watch TV. Their children don't eat junk, and the only junk they eat is the homemade idlis, sambar, and homemade namkeens that a Satsangi person creates, because the environment in that Satsangi community is like that. They see everyone eating the same way. That's the first take. The second take, sometimes, believe me, the food made by the mothers is actually not tasty. So our mothers or the someone who is making taste actually taking care of the palates of the children, because they don't have to eat pizza if you can create the taste of pizza in a paratha. And believe me, it's absolutely doable. I have done it with my son. I have done it with plenty of parents. A, how often you show that going to a restaurant is the best thing that is happening to your life? How often you show to your child that the world outside, fun means going out, throwing a party, opening a bottle of beer, and then you want to enjoy 21st generation, but you want your child to follow 18th generation rules. Set the right precedent. Understand the environment in which your child is seeing things. You have to show things other way. You have to make home food a look jazzy, taste jazzy, and talk to your child about their palate food, their palate, what their palate is demanding.
Okay. Yeah, somehow I sometimes agree with this that there are parents who, go out very often, and there are other environment. I've seen houses in my patients who are very cultured, eat, not opening a beer bottle, and they believe in sitting together, but their children are retaliating because there are friends, and every birthday party they have a pizza, pasta. So there is other environment also, like one is home, the other are friends, society, media. You don't see a Nachni Ki Roti ka ad coming on the TV. You see a pizza ad
Exactly.
coming. Yeah.
Exactly. So, how can we blame the children? We have to understand the whole environment. It's like I put you in a bar daily, day in, day out, and then complain, why are you consuming liquor? So, for that, you need to create something, a very strong bond or a logical system. But these things can be very easily handled if the parents open a very good communication channel, allow dissent, allow different opinion, listen to the different opinion, and convert arguments into discussions. Unfortunately, there are no discussions in the families.
Okay, so I think the take home message from all the conversation and questions we had is that we have to communicate rather than, order that do
Absolutely.
this, cannot eat this. There are
Fortunately, it's a series, so in the next session we can go to the more questions. But this way, before we end up, I would like to suggest only one thing: observe your communication with your child. And before that, may I suggest observe your communication with your partner. How do you communicate? If you are very hyper in communication, do not expect your children not to be hyper in the communication. If you are a highway, my way personality, do not expect your children not to be a highway, my way personality. Open communication, where you are talking like two adults. But do we know how to talk like two adults? That's the first question. If you have been able to talk like two adults with your husband and wife, father and mother, it becomes very easy for you to talk like two adults with your children also.
so what would you suggest? I'll give an example. Suppose a child is not wanting to do something which is very basic. How would you react and how would you talk to your child? Like ordering everything, every day wants a pizza or a pasta or a, coffee or something.
I will just not order him or her not to do it. I will talk, explain my reasoning for it, and then
Okay.
smile and say, okay, now this is a family rule that you will do it only once or twice a week. And I will negotiate. I will make the person a part of the solution. Do not impose it. Make it a part of the solution.
Okay.
I think
So,
we can pick it up from the in the next session, and we can
yeah,
ask our
I
viewers
think
to,
we need a lot of
yeah,
understanding about
yeah,
so many
yeah, yeah,
issues, rather, but we have taken these teenagers because I have so
yeah,
many teenagers coming to the clinic and parents,
yeah, yeah,
frustration I
yeah,
can see that how to handle them. They just don't
yeah,
listen.
yeah,
Their room is a mess. They don't want to study. Screen time is one more thing I really wanted to talk. But I think we
yeah,
can do it once in a fortnight or
yeah,
something if
yeah,
that you are
yeah,
available.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely, we can.
Uh,
So look
we
forward
can
to
take some questions, sir, if there are.
yeah.
There's one डॉक्टर कृष्णाली who says बच्चे कहाँ सुनते हैं जब तक गुस्सा ना करे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता मतलब
Ask her, क्या वो गुस्सा करने पे सुनते हैं? दैट्स द मेन क्वेश्चन। अगर गुस्सा करने पर बच्चा आपकी सुन लेता है और आपको हर बार गुस्सा बढ़ाना नहीं पड़ता है, तो कर लीजिए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। माय एक्सपीरियंस इज कि गुस्सा इज अ पनिशमेंट दैट शुड बी गिवन टू चिल्ड्रन लेस ऑफन। जितना कम देंगे, उतना ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव रहेगा।
Okay. So if you have any other questions, you can put it in the comments. We'll make sure that next session we answer all these questions. Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure
Thank you,
having
Dr.
you.
Ruchi.
And
Same here.
hope we there are some more few questions were coming up, how to deal with sibling rivalry and all. We can just pen it down, and I'll make sure that I ask all these questions in the next session. So maybe every
Look forward.
fortnight we'll plan
Absolutely,
and we'll
absolutely.
take all your questions. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's an
Thank you very
absolute
much.
pleasure.
Same here, same
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you, everyone.